I think it's fair to say that pretty much every day we are put to the test. It's true that sometimes we have really great days, good days, where lots of good things happen to us, people are kind, maybe get a financial windfall, who knows. We have great days. But in the course of a week, and often in any given day, there are many things that try us, that test our faith. It can be people, often. People close to us, family, friends, neighbors, associates, people we work with, can do things that are distressing. It can be events, financial setbacks, car accidents, illnesses and sicknesses. For us or someone we love, we could compile a humongous list of all sorts of things that come at us and try us, try our faith, put us to the test. And Jesus knew all these things as we do. And we can just skim through the Gospels and see how he wept at the illness and then death of Lazarus. He was thrown out of town one time, rejected by his hometown. We know kind of the broad strokes of how the opponents, the religious and political leaders, they went after him. They went for him, and they got him. And as that happened, the people he was closest to, his inner circle, one of them betrayed him, one of them denied him. They all abandoned him. So he was acquainted with all these things that come at any person as they live. But today, he's led away from that. He's been baptized, and he's led by the Spirit up into the wilderness. He's led away from the places where all these things are coming at you. And so now it's going to be what's on the inside, right? And he's led by the Spirit into this. And so I have to believe that God's in this movement, that there is indeed testing on the inside that actually is, in a sense, desirable. That God's wanting to work something out with us. So as we look at the traditional sort of threefold temptations of Jesus, I'd like to reframe that slightly and think of this as a test in the sense of a preparation, a trial as in a trial run. And so the first thing is bread. And there's all the stuff we need. We really need it to live. Bread on the table, roof over the head. In our culture, cars. And all sort of the things that you need to do if you have children to give them the experiences they need. And there's so many things out there that we need to do and take care of. And Jesus replies to that as if to say, yes, but. Don't live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. And it's the sense of this continuous stream coming from God. God's always communicating. And we need that inner feeding. We need to feed what's on the inside. We need to feed our souls, our hearts, our minds, so that we can deal with what's out there. So how are you doing with that? And then the second temptation in the order of Matthew is Jesus being taken up to the pinnacle of the temple, and he's told, throw yourself down, because God will get your back. God will not let you get harmed. And we throw ourselves out into the week. We throw ourselves out into the day. We throw ourselves into the events of our life. And then sometimes we wonder, well, why didn't God protect me? Why didn't God catch me? And the image that comes to my mind is those old fire tarps that people would use to catch people leaping out of a building. And it's as if God's supposed to be running around wherever we go. But God isn't leading us to these places necessarily. And Jesus said, don't put God to the test. Where are you, God? It should be the other way. God leads. Are we following the lead of God into our day? Does it even occur to us to look for the leading of God into the mundane, ordinary events of our day? And then the third check. Worship. It's about worship. And we're here today as we should be. And the temptation is to categorize worship as sort of this thing you do for about an hour in the week if you're doing good. The preacher goes too long, maybe an hour and a quarter. And yes, that's worship. We're coming, we're presenting ourselves to honor God, to let God's word come and teach, to try to respond to that, take it out to our week. Yes, that's worship. Indeed. But notice what Jesus says, you shall worship the Lord your God alone, only, and serve God. Only. Alone, I think is the word. There's an exclusivity there about worship. And it seems to be suggesting that, you see, we're worshiping all the time. We just might not be worshiping God all the time. What are you honoring and serving on Monday and Wednesday and Thursday afternoon? Am I looking to serve God in the work I have to do in my home, in the work I have to do at my office or wherever I go? Am I honoring God in the way I take a weekend? How am I honoring and serving God all the time? That's worship. And I think we've been deceived when we really get the message that, well, I'm on my own. I got to get my stuff. I got to get my bread. And that's overwhelming enough, and so there's just no room for in here, no time. And I think we're being deceived when we think we have to seize the day and go out and make things happen. When we can allow God to lead. That God can be trusted to lead well, better than I can lead. And so we come to this season of Lent, and we come again to honestly look and see how it's going with us, and remind ourselves again of our need to be continuously strengthened within, continuously led, and continuously looking to see our life as a place of service and honoring God in all we do. And I leave you with a quote from the prophet Isaiah, which I think sums up God speaking to us about this. I don't think the way you think. The way you work isn't the way I work, says the Lord. For as the sky soars high above earth, so the way I work surpasses the way you work. And the way I think is beyond the way you think. Just as rain and snow descend from the skies and don't go back until they've watered the earth, doing their work of making things grow and blossom, producing seed for farmers and food for the hungry, so will the words that come out of my mouth come back to me. They will not come back empty-handed. The work I send them to do, they will complete. So let us be people who are listening. Let us be people who are led. Let us be people who are honoring and serving God.